indirectly paying attention to the trip. And I knew at that time I just admired that. It was like, oh, I want that. And so it was really cool that I, for the first time, went on the trip this year after paying attention to it that long ago. A lot of great testimonies. I don't have a great memory, so I probably won't remember everything, but on the way down, we spent the night in Springfield, Missouri, and for multiple reasons, but one of the reasons we were there is to do some evangelism in the streets right there in the city square of Springfield. Certainly not like the scene in Mardi Gras. A lot less people walking around, but we got to get out there and practice hitting the streets and praying for people, talking with people about the Lord, and right there, even though it wasn't very populated, but there's so many testimonies. I was walking with my prayer partner, Dave Tokestal, and we were walking around looking for people to pray for, and we found a young couple in college, and they were just like really touched. We found this guy who a veteran and a believer. He says he's a believer, and but he obviously needed some ministry. Hasn't been connected with the church for a long time or any group of believers, and just by the time we got done praying for him, and I think somebody had a prophetic word for him. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but after we got done praying for him, we saw tears streaming down his face. It was just like, whoa, so cool. It sounds kind of sadistic, like, I like to see people cry, but that's not, but, I'm a charismatic pastor, so the miraculous is a big deal to me. I believe the miraculous is supposed to be an everyday part of a believer's life. And because we serve a God that is the God of miracles, right? And so, we have the same anointing Jesus walked in, to heal the sick, raise the dead, cast out demons, and all that. So, I was just praying to the Lord, just, I want to see some amazing signs and wonders, like the stuff like in the Bible, right? And, I didn't see the dead raised, or, the lame walk, or the, the deaf hear. That doesn't mean I don't believe that can't happen. I was pressing in for miracles and things like that, believing for them. But I saw, more than anything, people crying, and for me, that's a miracle enough. Yeah. Because all we're doing is we want people to be invaded by Jesus. Yes. We want people to be radically touched by the love of God, the love of Jesus. And so if we leave our interaction with somebody and they've been touched by the love of Jesus, that's good enough for me. That's what we're after, right? The miraculous isn't the end all be all. The point is, for miracles, is to point to a higher, truth, which is there's a God and He loves them, and He saved them, of their sins, and He wants to have a relationship with them. So for them to be crying that's good enough for me, And so I probably saw at least a handful or two of people crying in front of me after praying for them. So we saw somebody in Springfield that just kind of staggering on the sidewalk. He just came out of a hospital, tried to commit suicide. And so we prayed for him, bought him a sandwich, and just like stepping out and talking with people, on these trips, you see the need, like if I was in Springfield for any other reason, I probably wouldn't have talked to that guy, But there's a guy who has a need. He's so needy for the Lord. And so it was really cool to find him, the diamond in the rough, and be able to pray for him, and, hope he's doing okay, and he's not trying to kill himself anymore. But, there's so much need out there when we get out and actually talk to people. There's a lot of need, a lot of things we could pray for. And we get to Mardi Gras, and 4 straight nights of 3-4 hours of ministry in the Bourbon Street and the streets of the French Quarter. The first night was a little overwhelming, to be honest. There was a lot of people. Duluth Superior, we're not used to those crowds. Not even at the Mall of America or anything like that. But it was just like shoulder to shoulder almost of traffic. Lots of music, loud music, partying, debauchery. it was just more than I had expected. And I guess I thought I was expecting a lot, but it was just more so. It was just like, apparently it's notched up every year, right? The debauchery and things like that. I think you said that.
It's kind of debauchery.
Just
sinful acts.
Yeah.
Open wickedness, open sinfulness.
Yeah. And so I was a little overwhelmed, and I was just kind of struggling with myself about boldness and fear and things like that. And the Lord built upon that, and as the nights went on, the second night, third night, fourth night, He was continuing to alleviate those fears, and I was able to step out in greater boldness. And me and my mother-in-law went on the trip too, Sandy. We were prayer partners for some of the nights, and went out and it's one of my favorite things to do, just to go out and just to pray for people, find people. And so we were able to find several, 4 hours it took us to pray for 4 groups. And so we were with them, talking to them for a long time, getting to know their stories, just heard the need. And one of the nights, me and my mother-in-law prayed for a trans person, and it's a man transitioning to a woman, and he calls herself Jess. And we just got to talking with this Jess and got to know her, and she's from Washington, and she came down just to live a new life, and as she's estranged from her family, and she's trying to figure out what to do. I believe Sandy said this, so I don't remember hearing this from her interaction, but she said she's a prostitute. But we got to know her a little bit. She was asking us if we wanted any edibles, if that's why we were talking to her. I didn't know what edibles was at that time. You can tell I have a drug past, but we're like, no, we just wanted to chat with you and say hi to you. And we prayed for Jess, and by the time we got done praying for Jess, during the prayer, Sandy was praying for her or him. I have a hard time with those pronouns things. Very confusing, right? And so we were just praying for Jess and just praying for healing. There was something going on, some specific need that we were praying for. And then she was saying, Sandy was saying the words heal, 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 heal. And then this Jess was like, what did you say? And then she said, heal. And then this Jess was like, I thought you said the name Theo, because Theo is my birth name. And so we're like, okay. And so we were just, me and Sandy were praying. I don't think we prayed this. I don't think she prayed this out loud to her, but we just believed that the Lord was possibly trying to draw out original identity out of Jess, that He created him to be Theo, right? Mm-hmm. And so by the time we got done praying, after that, she was crying. And so I don't know what happened there. Is trust God for the rest. That was a seed that was planted, of course. But God is after to restore that person and all of us. All those people, and it was just amazing, and so many great testimonies. And I got an opportunity to preach too, which was cool. I never preached in front of a group like that don't want to hear you preach. I would say maybe when I first started becoming a pastor, maybe that was true too, but no, not anymore. But it was just really cool to see somebody came up to me asking for prayer after I spoke, which is really cool. Stranger. I got to talk to a lot of believers, I don't know, that were down there participating in the Mardi Gras festivities. A lot of Christians that were there just having a good time, want to enjoy themselves, and got a chance to pray for a lot of those people and kind of encourage them. And there was just some people that, I had some great conversations with people like that were like, maybe some people that went to church when they were a kid, they got baptized, but are no longer walking with the Lord. A lot of those conversations, and not bad conversations, really good conversations. And it just showed me that God wasn't after just those who are, well, he's after the lost in general, right? But he wasn't just after those who had never heard him. He's after those who had once heard about him and then are no longer working, living for him. He's after those people. He's calling those people back too. So I was having a lot of good conversations with, people who call themselves Christians that maybe don't live an active Christian lifestyle and follow the Lord. But the Lord was leading me to praying for a lot of those people. And it was really cool to see the unity on the trip, like Dan said. The unity was great, and it wasn't just our group from the area, which is from all sorts of churches in the area, which is cool. But we got down there to stay at a ministry, and not just that ministry that we saw down there, but there were many other ministries around the French Quarter at the same time ministering in their own unique way. And there's people handing out cards. There was people singing and dancing from Christ for the Nations. I got to meet some of those people from Dallas. People from all over. We had a praise rally where all those groups got together. There's hundreds and hundreds of believers from all over the country. And the unity was really, really cool to see. And, the Lord spoke to me when I was, the first night, when I was just looking at the crowds, all like, ugh. He spoke to me very clearly about, he told me, look at the crowds. I was like looking around, and then he just told me, look at how unified they are. And look how organized they are. So I was like, yeah. I mean, they're all coming down for one reason, right? To have a good time, to party, do whatever they want to do. And he was just leading me to that Tower of Babel story. He impressed that on my heart. Then, and he spoke to me the next night during worship, on one of the worship nights, about the same thing, very clearly about unity. And he was basically telling me that that's how I want my church to unify. Not the partying, of course, not the debauchery, not all that stuff, but they are very highly organized. They're coming for one purpose. And he was just showing me the church isn't very organized. The church isn't very unified. And he was just showing me the Tower of Babel story where God was looking down on these people that were just building a tower for themselves, right? Look at what we can do. We're really skilled. We can do this, build this tower. And then God was saying to the other members of the Trinity, look at what they're doing. They're unified. Nothing will be impossible for them because they're unified. And so he messed up the languages, and that's the biblical explanation for why we have different languages. So it's a negative story, but there's a positive